Bonjour, good morning. Ce n'est pas trop tard. Bonne année. Statute of limitations on saying Happy New Year doesn't run out till we enter February. On behalf of the Green Party of Canada, Elizabeth May, leader, I'm joined by Jonathan Pedneault, who's currently still deputy leader, but co-leaders. We're partners. And Mike Morrice, MP for Kitchener Centre. We have a lot to talk about, but we're going to focus first on news on the Sustainable Jobs Act, Bill C-50. Franchement, j'ai bouleversé avec une nouvelle après Noël que le comité, avec l'étude de ce projet de loi C-50, ont changé avec un délai de 15 ans la date de l'application de ce projet de loi. I was absolutely shocked to find that on December 11th, when most of the key MPs who work on climate were in Dubai for COP28. And when you're out of the country, it's a strange, maybe an iPolitics Next Trivia contest, why on earth we have a rule that when you're outside of Canada, you can't participate in Parliament by Zoom. But because those of us who work on climate were in Dubai for COP28, we didn't know until quite late that the parliamentary committee doing clause by clause on Bill C-50 had accepted. Liberal and NDP members of the committee voted in favor of a Conservative amendment that delays the bill's implementation from December 31st, 2025 to December 31st, 2040. This is a shocking abdication of responsibility by the so-called progressive parties. The Green Party wants an explanation for why on earth Bill C-50 has been delayed by over 15 years. I turn it now to Jonathan Pedneault.
Bonjour à tous. Dans la nuit du 6 au 7 décembre, on a eu un peu un conte de Noël maléfique qui s'est produit à la Chambre des communes où les partis supposément progressistes se sont entendus pour aller voler le cadeau de Noël aux générations futures. Des générations futures qui ont le droit de s'attendre à ce que leur gouvernement, un gouvernement fédéral qui est supposément progressiste et a à cœur leurs intérêts, un gouvernement dont on pourrait s'attendre qu'il mette en œuvre aussi rapidement que possible une stratégie, un plan pour créer des jobs renouvelables, des emplois verts pour l'économie verte qui s'en vient. À un temps où le reste du monde est en train de se libérer des énergies fossiles, nos amis libéraux et néo-démocrates ont décidé plutôt d'aller dans la direction des intérêts conservateurs qui sont capturés par l'industrie pétrolière pour causer des délais additionnels dans ce qui est absolument inévitable ici, la transition énergétique. Et là, on a décidé, en pleine nuit, du 6 au 7 décembre, juste avant Noël, pendant que les députés les plus actifs sur le plan environnemental étaient à Dubaï en train de négocier avec le reste du monde l'avenir de notre planète, ils ont décidé de repousser l'implémentation de ce projet de loi par 15 ans. Ça, c'est 15 ans qu'évidemment, personne ici a le loisir, le luxe de se permettre. 15 ans de délais additionnels qui vont causer du tort aux générations futures pendant que les Américains, les Européens, les générations qui sont en train d'entrer sur le marché du travail ont maintenant des opportunités extraordinaires dans une économie verte. Les Canadiens se ramassent, les jeunes Canadiens se ramassent le bec à l'eau parce qu'on a eu des partis progressistes qui ont voté avec les conservateurs pour causer des délais additionnels. Ça, c'est absolument inacceptable. Once again, we have the night of December 6th to 7th, we had some sort of a twisted Christmas story taking place in the House of Commons with the NDP and Liberals voting with the Conservatives to delay by 15 years, something that young Canadians are excited and hopeful about, the possibility of getting jobs in the clean sector, sustainable jobs that will be fit for the future that's coming. At a time when the rest of the world is transitioning away from fossil fuels, Liberals and NDPers decided, no, let's wait 15 more years. Let's not give this Christmas gift to young Canadians just yet. We find this completely unacceptable. Mike.
Merci, Jonathan, and Elizabeth aussi. It really is disappointing when we see partisanship getting in the way of the priorities of Canadians. Canadians that have been promised, and workers in particular, a just transition, ensuring that we center workers as we move to the economy of the future. And instead, in the cover of night, when as a result of partisanship, the amendments themselves weren't even publicly shared at committee because of the result of partisan games that led to simple votes without discussion before each amendment was passed, to then have an already almost empty bill with no funding attached to it. It had been watered down already, to then be further delayed 15 years in the midst of a climate crisis is outrageous. And we will continue to stand up to say that we must go faster, we must be vigilant in the midst of a crisis. We owe it to future generations, and we owe it to workers across the country. Thank you.
Nous sommes disponibles pour les questions, s'il y a les questions sur Zoom, mais pour maintenant, je veux seulement ajouter que nous avons les priorités, évidemment, pour cette session de Parlement. We're starting now what will be, it's not quite a sprint till the end of June. We do have parliamentary breaks through February and March to be back in our constituencies. But there are a lot of concerns that we have right now going into this session of Parliament. I will, though, carry forward the clear message from so many wonderful and inspiring words from yesterday's state funeral. I want to certainly thank the Prime Minister for making Ed Broadbent's passing an occasion for bringing Canadians together for a state funeral, and for hearing without partisanship words of remembrance for Ed Broadbent, which will be shared later today in the House. I'll be honored to present on behalf of the Green Party our thoughts on the passing of Ed Broadbent, whom I think is recognized across party lines as truly a giant, a great Canadian, a great parliamentarian, and someone I worked with when he was party leader. I think it's important to note that those words from yesterday called on us to listen to our better angels, to be in this Parliament more respectful, to enter into the kind of vigorous debate over issues that's hard on issues, not hard on people. I think Canadians deserve better from Parliament. I note that yesterday the Right Honourable Joe Clark, who is generally right and always honourable, made the point that Parliament was looking more like a stage than a place where important things take place. For me, it's still a place where important things take place. And I lament every moment of every day that I'm in Parliament in debate when I can see us moving closer to a gutter. We need to elevate ourselves. To improve the discourse in Parliament is on each and every one of us. I'm so proud of Mike Morrice as MP for Kitchener Centre. He never allows himself, nor do I hope I allow myself, to allow the kind of partisan gutter sniping that goes on to affect our speech and our approach to how we work towards finding common ground on issues that matter to all of us. One of those issues is coming up soon, and that's the motion to move to a citizens' assembly on democratic reform. I want to flag that as an important, it'll be coming up next week in Parliament. It's an important moment. It started as Mike's motion on creating a citizens' assembly. So with your permission, Jonathan, I just want to briefly ask Mike to speak to the motion and how it ended up that through nonpartisan collaboration, it's now Lisa Marie Barron's motion. It was Mike's motion first, and we want everybody on board to move towards real democratic reform. We see in the media there's some discussion between the NDP and the Liberals. For the record, we haven't been invited into those discussions, but we remain very committed to real electoral reform.
Well, yes, thank you, Elizabeth. This is, work that's been underway for quite some time, and that we believe deeply there's an opportunity to put partisan games to the side. We recognize that electoral reform has had politics get in the way of making progress on it year after year, and so following the lead of groups like Fair Vote Canada, we have been calling for a citizens' assembly, a regular group of Canadians that could come together to provide recommendations to our Parliament on electoral reform, similar to a jury, for example. I was proud to bring that motion forward and receive support from 4 parties, MPs representing 4 different parties. Just over a year ago, our colleague, the MP for Nanaimo, Ladysmith, has since brought it forward again. It'll now be coming forward for a vote at a time when Canadians continue to call out the need for electoral reform. A vast majority of Canadians would like to see this moved ahead with. And in fact, 3 of the parties in the House of Commons represented already have motions passed by their own grassroots members, including the Liberals, NDP, and of course us as Greens. It's an important moment to continue a conversation that Canadians want to see moved ahead with, to see our Parliament, as Elizabeth spoke to, be more collaborative, more diverse, and more representative of the interests of Canadians. As Greens, we will continue to look for opportunities to find common ground. We see this as a really critical one. While Canadians are watching, we hope our Parliament will focus on the issues that we can make progress on, as opposed to the partisan games.
Et un petit sommaire? Non? Résumé?
Well, I think just to close, perhaps, very important for us will continue. An issue that's very important for us will continue to be the fight against the lack of housing in this country. Affordability remains a key challenge for many Canadians throughout the country. We heard many stories over the holidays, Mike and Elizabeth from their constituents, myself from people in my community, of people who are struggling right now in this current economy to make ends meet. And that is once again highlights the treason of progressive parties, Liberals and NDP in this case, to really address the fundamentals of inequality in this country. And so very soon we'll be coming up with some bold proposals for Canadians on fiscality, on how do we redistribute resources in this country in a way that can be more fair and that can really help plan for the future. Un enjeu d'importance pour nous va continuer à être la lutte contre les inégalités, puis évidemment toute la question du logement qui est très importante au Québec. On l'entend de la part de Québec solidaire et de d'autres partis provinciaux. Il est essentiel d'avoir des investissements plus importants en logement. Je sais que Mike et Elisabeth ici vont continuer à se battre pour ça ici à la Chambre des communes à Ottawa. Et puis sur les questions d'inégalité, on a malheureusement 2 partis progressistes, les libéraux et les néo-démocrates, qui n'en font pas suffisamment pour s'attaquer aux bases, aux raisons fondamentales de ces inégalités croissantes. On va très prochainement proposer des plans majeurs et assez ambitieux aux Canadiens pour justement amener la création d'une société qui est plus juste et plus équitable pour tout le monde. Merci.